Well, good day! So, for today, seeing as Halloween is still just around the corner, we're gonna continue with Halloween-themed episodes! Today's episode featuring the Ghostbusters! So, alright, let's go!
Yeah! So, it's Halloween in New York City, and Slimer is trick-or-treating with the Junior Ghostbusters. But the kids run into some crazy-looking goblins, and Slimer seems a bit suspicious of them, like he's seen them in a previous episode or something. So the four trick-or-treaters decide to follow these goblins, and the goblins wind up at the Ghostbusters Fire Hall, where the middle-aged Ghostbusters are having a Halloween party complete with a live band. Like, you would think that this might be a really busy night for the Ghostbusters and all that, right? Like, ghosts out there doing more tricks than treating, you know, or something? Or they're just taking the day off. It's their Christmas. So these goblins are just chilling out at the party and having a pretty good time when Slimer decides to ruin their fun by chasing them around the fire hall. And these goblins wind up in the basement where the containment unit is. Which sounds really serious, and Slimer should probably notify one of the, main Ghostbusters, right? Preferably Egon. But nope. He tells the Junior Ghostbusters, who really can't do anything about the situation and kind of really don't believe Slimer to begin with. Unfortunately, it's too late. The goblins opened up the containment unit and they release Samhain, the spirit of Halloween. And for sheer convenience, no other ghost was released from the containment unit, even though you have some really big heavy hitter ghosts who want revenge on the Ghostbusters. But I guess they were having too much fun in the containment unit to care. But Samhain does the unthinkable. He transforms the fire hall into his new Halloween temple. That's crazy. The Ghostbusters barely get out of the place, with Ecto-1, and they are completely unable to get past Samhain's new Halloweenish defenses. The lights, the proton packs, they're all useless. The dudes are screwed, so they split. But the Junior Ghostbusters get in their Ecto Junior go-kart to infiltrate the new fortress because they are clearly insane, but at least they have the good sense to run away in sheer terror when the ghosts spot them before getting kidnapped by Samhain himself. Egon, on the other hand, has an intelligent plan. He sends Slimer into the fortress, because he's a ghost. They put a camera in his mouth so he can do some reconnaissance on the fortress, right? Egon, being the engineer, figures that there is a weak spot in the fortress because of the shape of, the place. And if that weak spot gets destroyed, boof! Bam! The temple will crumble and somehow the fire hall will be reinstated? Not sure how the engineering on that works, but we're gonna go with it. So while Slimer is in the temple, he notices that Samhain has the Junior Ghostbusters, and most importantly, Egon is able to locate the weak spot to destroy the fortress. I love it when a plan comes together. So the plan is for Slimer to slime Samhain in some ghost-on-ghost violence for some reason that does nothing, and for Janine to use the proton cannon on top of Ecto-1 to shoot through a small hole on the side of the building, hit the weak spot, and collapse the whole thing. Like we're talking about some Luke Skywalker level precision on a Death Star, The Force is with Janine! I guess part of Ghostbuster recruitment, is to shoot womp rats in Beggar's Canyon, so yeah, that worked out really well. But how did that actually work? As we've seen previously in the episode, proton beams couldn't even make a dent in the Halloween shield, so how can it all of a sudden go through the Halloween shield? Unless when Slimer slimed Samhain, that somehow shut down the defense system, but that's ridiculous. I guess you don't really need any good reasons if you need the story to conclude. So Slimer gets the Junior Ghostbusters out of the collapsing building by covering them in slime so they can walk through the solid walls. Okay, I love you, Ghostbusters, I do, but Are you insane? So the walls are solid, the kids, being alive, their bodies are solid. Slime doesn't change any of that. Slime doesn't change the solid state of something. Like, how is that? You know what? Yeah, okay, sure, fine. Slime someone through a wall, sure. So they do that, and they never do that again at any point in this series, even though it's pretty tactically amazing. But oh well. So the building collapses into itself, Samhain and everything else is sucked back into the containment unit for some reason that was just reconstructed, along with the fire hall, which came back into being, so yeah. Halloween is saved, and the Halloween party continues. And with that is the end of this fantastic tale.
Man, that was a pretty awesome episode. I remember being a child watching this for the first time and was completely blown away, man, when Samhain transformed the fire hall into his Halloween fortress. I thought it was crazy in a previous episode when a ghost transformed Ecto-1 into like a living ghost beast. Like, that was pretty hardcore, but you're talking about the Ghostbusters home. Like, holy jeez. Like, it was so surreal, you know? Well, as surreal as a fictional cartoon, can be. So, as a kid watching this episode, like, I was so thoroughly blown away. I thought it was so incredibly fantastic. But now, rewatching it as an adult, like, it's a little different kind of a feeling, right? I think, watching it back in the day, I was just so blown away about the fire hall transformation that I didn't really pay much attention to the rest of the episode. And one thing that I noticed in this one is that, Samhain didn't really seem to do a whole lot. Sure, he transformed the fire hall, and sure, he kidnapped, the junior Ghostbusters to be bait for the senior Ghostbusters, I guess. But beyond that, right, like, what did he do? In the first episode with Samhain, man, like, Samhain went all across New York. He was terrorizing people with ghosts and goblins. Like, he was doing ghostly Halloween things, like, on a completely wide scale. In this episode, though, he was just kind of hanging out, in his fortress, like, just really doing not much. Like, I've said it before about other Ghostbusters episodes, like, I think this one could have been a pretty awesome 2-part episode, Have Samhain, do some more stuff, like at the end of part 1 is when he transforms the fire hall, and part 2 was trying to get the fire hall back. Like, I think that would be pretty cool. But the network at this point didn't want Ghostbuster episodes to have really scary stories, so they kind of made it all kind of more, cutesy-wootsy. Still creepy and crawly, but like not as scary as the previous Samhain episode. And I really do gotta say, like, I very much appreciate how Slimer, the ghost, was dressed up as a ghost for Halloween. That kind of seems like a bit of a homage to the Charlie Brown Halloween special, where half of the kids were dressed up as ghosts, right? With that same costume of just a sheet over top of them. But yeah, man, other than that, like, pretty awesome episode, Halloween or otherwise. But if you haven't seen this episode, check it out, man, because it's freaking awesome. And now, let us go and see what else we can find out about this episode.
Yeah. So this episode is called Halloween 2.5 because it is the second Halloween-themed episode for the series, and, well, the name Halloween 2 was already taken, and I gotta tell ya, that one was not so much kid-friendly, so Halloween 2.5 it is. Also, the network was really involved in this, trying to make it not as creepy crazy as it possibly could be, and again, to keep that kind of kid-friendly, kind of ghoulish storytelling. So this episode is a sequel to a season 1 episode called When Halloween Was Forever. Sorry. And with that, we've seen a return of some characters, like, well, obviously Samhain, and also his 2 main goblin minions. And somewhat of a similar story, right? Like, the 2 goblins released Samhain from his imprisonment. In the first episode, it was from ancient ruins, and in this episode, it was with the modern containment unit. Samhain does his thing and gets trapped again. But yeah, man, those are some pretty freaking loyal minions, man. Like, good to have them on the payroll. We also have the return of the junior Ghostbusters, who through sheer stubbornness, made themselves pretty important part of this episode. They first appeared in an episode called The Boogeyman is Back, just a few episodes prior to this one, and we haven't really seen them since. Just some flashbacks and some of the Slimer episodes, which, well, they are what they are. But this episode is the first appearance of the Junior Ghostbusters club car, the go-kart known as Ecto Junior. It's a rickety looking, go-kart that has an elastic band to shoot projectiles at ghosts, like they shown in this episode with, pumpkins. But 99% of the time, if you shoot a pumpkin at something that has no substance, yeah, you're probably not gonna win that battle. So Ecto Junior was designed to look like it was made from tape and glue, safe products to use, and not things like wood and nails and screws, because the network, was worried that kids might try to build their own Ecto Junior go-kart with, nails and sharp things themselves and potentially hurt themselves, so they didn't want any lawsuits, so they tried to make sure like it was made out of safe stuff. But, in reality, kids have been making go-karts, with no thought of safety for decades, with nails, screws, steel pipes, whatever. So this is kind of an odd point by the network, but, it's there. And correct me if I'm wrong, but, pretty sure this is also the first appearance of the proton cannon that sits on top of Ecto 1, which also comes complete with 4 traps, on top of it, for easy ghost trapping, which is an awesome piece of equipment, and it does kind of follow that theme in the series, where they're always trying to build better ghost trapping stuff. So yeah, it works pretty good. And well, I just had to toss this point in, but in the original Ghostbusters movie, when the containment unit was shut down and blew up, the visuals of how it tore through the top of the roof, man, I always thought that was like one of the coolest scenes from the movie. Like, it just looked so amazing. So for this episode to emulate that, when the containment unit was, not blown up, but just opened, it looked almost as cool, but still pretty awesome, right? I guess more of an ectoplasmic explosion than a real explosion. So, this is pretty much the last episode with Samhain. We don't really see him anymore, other than some random cameos. But realistically, man, pretty awesome villain. And if you got a Halloween-themed villain, man, you really can't do better than Samhain, man. But yeah, man, so that's all the quick little tidbits and things and all that stuff kind of here and there with this episode. So with their this, that, those, and the other things, I guess, that's that. Also, if you guys are interested, I created my own superhero show and I have the first episode out already. The Adventures of the Density. So if you guys would like to check it out, I'll have a link above here and a link at the end of the video for you to peruse there. Yeah, right on, and there you go. So thanks for watching the video. I hope you liked it as much as I did making it. Also, feel free to check out the source material that I featured in this video. And if you want to leave a comment on anything you may have liked or things I might have missed in this, feel free to do so. Or anything else, just to say hi. That's cool too. And other than that, have a great day. Thanks.